Jai Shri Ram. By the grace of Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Sri Jagannath, Lord Sri Ram, we will continue the story of Ramayana part 2, chapter 5, Ram remains firm. So, if you are not watched the previous chapter of Ramayana, you may go to the playlist or click on the I button uh, and watch all the videos so that you can connect this chapter 5 from the beginning of Ramayana. So, the chapter 5 in it is mentioned that 3 months had passed since Ram had settled on the Chitrakuta mountain, living peacefully in their thatched cottage. Ram, along with Lakshmana and Sita, was happy. From their hut, they could see the top of the mountain, some of which was yellow, some red as madder, some glittering silver, and some blue green like a shining emerald. Thousands of other subtle hues shone on the side of the great mountain, and it teemed with deer of every description and a host of harmless tigers, leopards, and bears. Trees laden with flowers and fruits were crowded with varieties of colorful and sweetly singing birds. Clear rivulet flowed from countless springs and waterfalls sprinkled in the sunshine. Ram felt gladdened at heart to see all this and sitting at a edge on the porch of his hut. He spoke with Sita, look at the Kinaras as they sport on these delightful slopes. slopes. Having descended from their own planets, see also the Vidyadharas and uh, Gandharvas counting their women flock after hanging their swords and other weapons from the boughs of trees. This place is finer even than heaven. Surely we will easily spend 14 years summers here as if they were a month. Sita smiled. She felt joyful to be living there with Ram. Despite its simplicity, she liked forest life, preferring it even to her life of luxury in the city. She looked down at the Mandakini River, where lines of ascetic, clad only in loin clothes, stood in the water with their arms upraised as they worshipped the sun. A cool blast carried the aroma of trees blossoms, which cascaded on all sides of the mountain. On the sandy bank of river, evenly siddhas were appearing and disappearing, moving about it delight. Further down the river, she saw a group of elephants standing amid the red and white lotus as they drank the clear water. Rama continued, let us take our midday bath in the river. O princess, with you by my side, I do not miss any of my relatives or even Ayodhya itself. Your beauty put to shame the so-called beauty of these heavenly damsels, and it gives me newer and newer pleasure. Ram looked at his brother, who stood at a distance holding his bow. The godly Lakshman stands over there equipped with weapons and ready to carry out my every command. Living on the delicious forest fare he gathers, we reside here most happily. Dear Sita, what more could I desire even if I live in Ayodhya. Ram and Sita descended to the river and found a secluded spot to take their bath. After bathing and sporting from sometimes in the cool water, they came out and sat in the sun on a large flat rock. As Ram conversed with Sita, he noticed in the distance a cloud of dust rising to the sky. Looking around, he saw frightened animal running in all directions and heard a terrible noise, which becomes progressively louder. Ram called out to his brother Lakshman, "What do you think is causing this disturbance?" A sound like a terrible crash of thunder is coming from the north. Is some king or prince out hunting in the forest, followed by his army? Or is it some vast herd of beasts on the move? Please go and see. Lakshmana immediately climbed a tall tree and looked all around, fixing his gaze on the north. He saw in a distance a large army crowded with elephants, horses, and chariots, and joined with a mass of marching foot soldiers. He shouted to Ram and informed him, "Let Sita quickly find a cave." Lakshmana advised Ram, "Extinguish the fire so that the smoke will not be seen. We too shall stand here clothes in mail and holding upraised weapons, for a powerful army approaches." Ram, who was not at all fearful, replied to Lakshmana, "Look carefully at the ensign. Try to determine whose army you think it might be." Lakshmana stared at the head of the army and saw a tall ensign tall ensign waving in the village, bearing the emblem of a Kobidara tree. The prince became infuriated and looked at the army as if he might consume it with his gaze alone. "Clearly, this is Bharat army," he exclaimed. "I see there the mark of the Kobidara. Evidently, he has secured the throne of Ayodhya and now desire to attain the undisrupted sovereignty by killing us both. Even now I see swift horses going ahead to seek us out." Lakshmana stressed with anger, "It is fortunate indeed that I shall now see Bharata's face, for whose sake you are enduring this forest life, deprived of your sovereign rights. Surely he has come here as an army and as such deserves to be killed outright. I see no sin in this action, O Ram, for Bharata has sorely wronged you." Lakshmana descended from the tree and picked up his weapons. He held with swords aloft. "Today, Kaikeyi, who is so desirous of the kingdom, will be seized with sorrow when she see her son slain by me. I shall then kill her also. Let the earth drink the blood of all these warriors, beasts of prey, with drag about the corpses of elephants and horses, as well as the thousands of men pierced by my arrows, killing Bharata alone with his army." I will repay my debt to my weapons. Ram replied gravely to the enraged Lakshmana, these sentiments do not befit you. Dear brother, the mighty Bharata has come here longing to see us and you wish to greet him with weapons. I have given my word of my honor to remain in the forest. How then can I forcefully take the kingdom from Bharata, thereby gaining a sovereignty strain with infamy? Feeling admonished by his brother, Lakshmana looked down and settled his sword. Ram continued, I will never accept a royal fortune won at the cost of the death of my kinsman. Indeed, I would only accept the kingdom for the pleasure and protection of my relatives, for I have no personal desire of sovereignty. If any joy should come to me that is not enjoyed by ourselves, Bharat or Shatrugna, then let it be reduced to ashes. Ram knew Bharata's heart. Bharata was no less devoted to him than Lakshmana. He could understand why his brother had come to see him. He also longed to see Bharata. Comforting Lakshmana, Ram said, when Bharata heard of my exile, I am sure he would have felt his heart overwhelmed with affection and his mind distracted by grief. After censuring Kaikeyi with harsh words, he no doubt left Ayodhya intent and on bearing me back. Of this I feel certain. Lakshmana felt ashamed to have spoken angrily about Bharata. He remembered the close and loving relationship the four brothers had enjoyed in childhood. Rama was right. Bharata could not possibly have come in a material spirit. Lakshmana blushed as Ram continued. I cannot imagine Bharata harming us even in his mind. Ram said gently, has he somehow previously offended you, dear brother, so that you wax so worthful about towards him now? If you are set upon the altar of Bharata, then I shall order him to hand over the kingdom to you this very day. Certainly he will remain here in your place, clad in tree wax, while you rule over this broad earth. L- Lakshmana sank with shame. It had been wrong of him to think so badly of Bharata. There was never a time when any malice or envy had been seen in that prince. Lakshmana tried to make amends for his previous outburst. It must be as you say, dear Ram. I think the mighty armed empire himself has personally come here accompanied by Bharata. Our father will doubtlessly try to persuade us to return, handing you the sovereignty refused by Bharata. Indeed, I saw father's gigantic elephant, Sat- Satrunjaya, rocking about at the head of the army as it marched. From their vantage point on the mountainside, Ram could see the army coming into view, spotting, spotting the king's elephant. He felt a sudden apprehension. Why was there no white umbrella head over its back? Shatrujaya would not have come out without the king, unless that is, there was no king. Ram was fearful. Along with Lakshmana and Sita, he waited near his hut for Bharata's arrival. When they reached, the mountain. Bharata details a number of expert trackers to go in search of Ram heritage. He himself went ahead on horseback and began searching on foot. When he reached the dense forest on the mountainside, accompanied by Vaishishta and other Brahmins, Bharata pressed ahead into the forest, anxious to see his brothers. He said to Vaishishta, Blessed is this mountain reach, O sage, where Ram and Sita now roam. How fortunate is Lakshman, who always beholds the moon-like face of Ram. I long to hold Ram's feet on my head. There will be no peace for me until I see him duly concentrated and seated upon Ayodhya thrones. Bharata climbed a tall tree, and gazed all around, open, seeing a column of smoke. He surmised it would be coming from Ram's hermitage. Rejoicing, he descended quickly and went in that direction. Confident that there were no clues to Ram, he w- he sent Vaishishta back to bring the queen. Then, al- along with Shatrugna and Guha, he went as quickly as possible up the mountain slope. As they arrived at a plateau, they suddenly burst into a clearing and saw there on a leveled piece of ground Ram halt. Ram and Lakshmana were sitting in front of a leafy cottage. Bharata saw the sacrificial fire placed on an altar surrounded by blades and kusa grass. Hanging on the side of the hut were two long bows, plated with gold and shining like rainbow. Large quiver filled with fearful looking arrow stood by the bow, along with two great shields adorned with gold engraving. A couple of swords hung by the bow, sheathed in silver and gold. When Bharata so Ram dressed as an ascetic, his hair matted. He let out a cry and felt prostrate. Raging up again, he gazed with tear-filled eyes at his beloved brother, who appears like Brahma seated in his celestial assembly hall. Ram turned and smiled at Bharata, who along with Shatrugna was rushing towards him, stumbling even as he ran over level ground. Bharata swiftly approached Ram and fell before him in a choked voice. He began to lament. Alas, here is my elder brother, who deserves to sit in a royal assembly, seated now in the company of dear Bharata cried, What a cruel destiny! Here is that exalted soul who should wear garments worth many thousands, wearing the bark of a tree. All this is on my account, to me. Commended by all the world, sobbed stripped Bharata voice as he laid near Ram, his hands stretched toward his brother's feet. His face was covered with perspiration, and he called out, Oh, my brother, my noble brother. Shatrugna also shed tears and bowed before Ram. Ram and Lakshmana quickly got up and closely em- embraced both of their brothers. The four princes coming together appears as if the sun and moon had conjoined with Venus and Jupiter in the heavens. Ma- Ram asked Bharata what had brought him away from Ayodhya, surprised to see him with matted locks and wearing a deer skin. Ram said, Why have you come here without our father, dearest brother? I hope all is well in Ayodhya. As long as father lives, you should surely wait upon him with great attention. Still, I am glad to see you here, although you appear pale and emaciated. Why the ascetic dress, noble Bharata? I think your love for me must be very deep. Ram gently stroked Bharata's head. Looking up, he saw Guha standing at a distance with folded palms, and he smiled at him. Ram was fully absorbed in loving exchanges with his friend and relatives. Feeling pain and concern to see Bharata's condition, he continued to speak. I hope you have not lost the kingdom due to immaturity and inexperience. Surely you know all the facets of diplomacy and kingly science, O powerful prince. By way of lobbying instruction, Ram asked after many aspects of the kingdom. He inquired if the people were probably protected, the animals cared for, the army well maintained, and the Brahmins given sufficient charity. Bharata listened respectfully as his elder brother spoke. I see here all my mothers, said Ram. Indeed, it seems that the entire kingdom of Kosala has accompanied by you, dear Bharata. This give rise to grave doubt in my mind. Please tell me why you have all arrived here today, for you have aroused my curiosity. Bharata knelt before Ram, clasping his feet. Dear Ram, the act perpetrated by my mother was wicked and never approved by me. Casting you into the forest and afflicting the whole of Ayodhya with unbearable pain, she hoped to see me installed as the king. This will never happen. Please return now with us, O Raghav, and take your rightful position as ruler of this world. Be kind to me and to all these people, O tiger among men. Ram felt a compassion for Bharata. He questioned him again. What need is there for you are adopting this mode of ascetic life, dear Bharata? The order of our father is that you become the king. I too stand enjoyed by our father to remain here in the forest. Our pure father order is supreme. Therefore, without censuring your mother Kaikei, you should enjoy the kingdom. For myself, I am happier staying here in the obedience to our father than I would be in attending to the imperishable abode of our Brahma. Bharata head sank. He knew his elder brother's mind. I would be possible impossible. It would be impossible to convince Ram to transgress on order given by his elders. Still, he felt impelled to try. He could not possibly take the throne in the place of Ram. With a heavily heart, Bharata informed Ram of what had happened in Ayodhya. While I was away in the Kekaya kingdom, and you had already gone to the forest, our glorious father ascended to heaven, thinking only of you and lost in grief at your separation. The king left his mortal body. Now, by the time honored rule, you as the elder son should inherit the kingdom. There cannot be any doubt on this point. As he heard for the first time the news of his father's death, Ram felt as if his heart had been pierced. Raising his arms and crying out, he sank to the ground like a tree filled with blossom caught at its roots. He laid motionless with the color drained from his face. Bharat quickly sprinkled him with cool water. Ram sat up and held his head, wailing piteously. With my father dead and gone, no, what shall I do in Ayodhya? Alas, I am surely a wi- wicked, wicked and useless son. My father died because of me. Nor was I even able to cremate him. Even when the 14 years expire, I shall not have the courage to return to the city, seeing it desolate and bereft of its protector. Who will now speak those kind and loving words my father spoke when he saw me well behaved? Ramu went over to Sita and Lakshmana, who were seated nearby. Dear Sita, your father-in-law is no more. O Lakshmana, you are now fatherless. Our brother brings the sorrowful news of the king's ascent to heaven. This world now stand without a ruler. Sita eyes filled with tears and was unable to look at her husband. Rama and Lakshmana wept along with Sita as Bharata and Shatrugna comforted them. Ram controlled his feelings and said, I must now perform the last sacred rites for the king. Let us go to the river. The poor princess and Sita, trembling due to their grief, descended with difficulty to the river bank. They were assisted by Sumantra and other minister of the king, who stood watching as Ram entered the water along with his brother and Sita. Ram faced and southern quarter over which Yamaraja presides and held water in his cupped palms. He let the water trickle through his fingers and said in a choked voice, May this sacred water reach you, O great tiger among kings. Let this offering serve you, dear father, who have gone forever to the world of our forefathers. Ram offered prayers for his father and then returned to his hermitage to prepare an offering of food for the departed king. As after the offering was made, Ram and his brothers clasped each other hands and began and to wail loudly. The sound was like roaring of lions and it reverberated all around the mountain pass. Hearing that confused noise, the soldier in Bharat army were alarmed and they said to one another, surely Bharat and Shatrugna have met Lakshmana and Ram. This sound must be the loud cry of those four brothers mourning for their decreased, deceased father. The soldier got up quickly and began running towards the sound, crashing it through the undergrowth of a root, horseback, and its chariots. Everyone in Bharata entourage rushed towards Ram's hermitage in eager to see him again. The noise of all those thousands of people moving through the forest was tumultuous. Deer, buffaloes, boars, lions, and elephants ran in all directions, terrified by the great common commotion. Birds of every kind of cried loudly and flew off into the air. Dasharatha, widows, queens got down from their chariot and went on foot into the woods, accompanied by Vaishishta walking with difficulty along. the narrow forest path, they finally arrived at the spot where Rama was standing with his brothers. Ram saw them as they entered the clearing and he ran quickly towards them. He bowed down to Vaishishta and each of the three queens, touching their feet after Lakshmana and Sita had also for their respect. Ram sat down with Vasishtha on the wooden seat in front of his hut. The queens wept aloud upon seeing the ascetic trace of Ram and Sita. Kausalya went to Rama and tenderly wiped the dust off his face. Turning to Sita, she said, how are you serving in this lonely forest, dear Sita? Your face appeared pale and withered. Alas, my grief upon seeing you here blast off like a fire fed with abundant fuel. Ram consoled Kausalya while Lakshmana spoke with Sumitra, who was also deeply pained. Bharata then came and sat at Ram's feet with his palms folded. He said, Kaikeyi is now satisfied and the kingdom has been offered to me. If this kingdom is mine, then I hereby give it to you. Oh Ram, please take it without any hesitation. As Bharata sat before Rama and Lakshmana, the three brothers shone like the three sacrificial fires. Bharata held Ram's feet as he spoke. The power to rule this world rests only with you. O Ram, I cannot no more emulate that power of yours than a donkey can emulate the gait of a horse or a sparrow, the fight of Garuda. Indeed, I am not dependent upon you. Let the world behold you shining with splendor on Ayodhya throne. We shall take you there in the state this very day. All the people gathered there called out, well said, often hearing Bharata speak with tears streaming from his eyes. Bharata sat looking up at Ram. He hoped desperately that Ram might somehow be persuaded. He could not imagine going back to Ayodhya without him. Seeing his brother and other relatives weeping, Ram felt a compassion. Keeping his own grief in check, he replied, no man is free to act as he pleases. This in this world, the embodied soul is tracked here and there by the all powerful force of providence. No one can control that force. All gain will end in loss. Every meeting end in separation, and all life has its end in death. As there is no fear for a ripe food other than a fall, so there is no fear for any man other than death. Everyone listened attentively as Ram spoke. Their feelings of sorrow relieved by his instruction. The passing of days and nights quickly adjusted the lifespan of all beings, even as the summer sun sucks up the water in the lake. In a lake, Ram went on. You should grieve only for yourself. Why do you grieve for another? Death is our constant companion. He walk with he walks with us, sit with us, and having gone a long distance with us when we travel, he duly return with us. Ram still had no desire to return Ayodhya. He wanted to encourage Bharata and give him strength. Stroking his brother's head, he continued to instruct him. Beloved brother, the power to prevent one's own death doesn't exist in a person grieving for another. Our father departed after a long life of pity, and we should by a no means grieve. We ourselves have embarked on the very same path trodden by the empire and will join him in due courses. Let us therefore through of grief and dedicate ourselves to the pursuit of a piety by which we who shall attain the blessed regions reached by the king. Ram looked around his hermitage. Thousands of people were crowding on the mountainside, all looking towards him. There was a complete silence as Ram spoke. Even the animals screamed silent. Only the sound of the river and the rustling of leaves in blazing could be heard. Dappled shadows moved over the ground in the late afternoon sun. With a mild smile, Ram continued to address Bharata within the hearing of everyone there. But father has said his old worn out body and with an eternal and undecaying form, he now sports in a great happiness. Rather than grief for him, we should now carefully do his bidding. For our part, you should rule over the earth, dear Bharata, while I, for mine, should remain in the forest until 14 years have expired. This will ensure our welfare in both this world and the next. Under no circumstances should we disobey our virtuous father. Ram spoke for more than an hour, and Bharata felt joy to hear his brother's words of instruction, but he was also spirited to see Ram's determination to stay in forest. When Ram stopped speaking, Bharata grasped his feet and replied, "Your position is glorious, O mighty brother. You are never dejected at adversity nor exhilarated at finding joy. You are always able to distinguish truth from untruth. Therefore, you know what is real and what is only temporary and thus ultimately unreal. This is certainly the soul and not the body that one should not create in this world. Bharata realized. Lies that Ram was only acting with the philosophical understanding. He knew that Ram could not be possibly act outside the code of religion or morality. Nonetheless, Bharata was himself still doubtful about the justice of Ram's exile. He spoke to Ram in order to clear his doubts. So, where it not for a moral code, I would have surely slain my sinful mother. How did the king allow himself to fall under her sway due to inspiration or foolishness? Our father acted wrongly. As his son, is it not our duty to correct his mistakes? Surely this is the proper religious path for an honest and worthy son. Bharata turned and indicated, and the people gathered around. All these people need your protection. This is the duty of rulers according to the scripture. Now, where Now here is the duty of a ruler stated as bring life in the forest, march back to Ayodhya and at the head of this vast army. Let your friends feel joy today, and your enemy run frightened in all direction. O Ram, if you resolve to stay here, then you shall find me by your side. I can by no mean finding myself the strength to rule in your absence. Bharata sat with his head bowed. Everyone was enthralled by the conversation between the two royal brothers, and they became simultaneously joyful to witness his firm resolve and disconsolate to realize that he would not be returning to Ayodhya. Ram replied to Bharata in a solemn voice, all this all his life, our father followed the path of piety. This is widely known. Impiety would not have been possible for that truthful man. When our father accepted Koikai's hand, he promised her yeah, father, as the bride prince, that her son would inherit the kingdom. Furthermore, soon under Solomon oath by Kaikei, the king promised you the kingdom and me go to the forest. Order me to go to the forest. Whatever the reason, this was the king's promise. If that promise is broken, our father will be liable to sinful reactions. Our duty as his son is to fulfill his promise and thereby save him. No other course is possible for us. Ram pushed for a moment. He got down from his seat and lifted up Bharata and Shatrugna. You too should return to Ayodhya and protect the people. O Bharata, get yourself concentrated as the king and rule the earth. I shall become the empire of beasts. The white umbrella should be held over your head as you ride on the royal elephant. While for my part, I shall go on foot, shielded by a canopy of tree. Live with joy for the city, my brother, and I with Lakshmana will joyfully enter the woods. In this way, we shall preserve our father pity. Bharata said nothing. He felt reassured by Ram's reply, but was profoundly sorrowful at the prospect of for leaving him. At that moment, a Brahmin named Javali spoke, trying to convince Ram to return on the basis of artistic doctrine. Why are you attached to your father, Ram? He was nothing more than flesh and bones, and has now merged again with the earth. People who consider that other are in some way related to them are simply mad. Along we come to this world, and along we shall live. Alone we shall live. As such, we should only work towards our own interests. You need not suffer now for the interest of your decreased father. Take the throne, enjoy it. O Ram, for this will be in your own best interest. Jabali did not himself believe the philosophy he was espousing. He was only trying to somehow to change Ram's mind. Perhaps Ram would accept the argument as a per- pretext for going back to Ayodhya. Most likely through he would defeat a Jabali position and thereby establish the path of religion. Either by Jabali would be satisfied and he continued to speak his ascetic philosophy. I lament for those who forsake sense pleasures for the austerity of religious life, said Jabali. Rising to his feet, hoping for fortune, happiness for meets with um, extermination at that having lead of life of suffering. The scripture have been written by intelligent Brahmins who wish to exalt sacrifice and charity. In this way, these Brahmins have assured our own livelihood. Jabali smiled as he spoke his false philosophy. No one in the assembly accepted his words, but they too hoped that Ram would yet be convinced to leave the forest. Everyone listened in silence as Jabali concluded his speech. Knowing this truth, O Ram, you should renounce your foolish asceticism. There is nothing beyond this visible on universe. Do not depend for your happiness on anything outside of that which you can see and immediately experience. There, therefore, O great prince, accept the kingdom and enjoy as the undisturbed ruler. Ram sat down again at Jabali stopped speaking, looking at the Brahmin. He said, a man is known by his conduct alone. Although posing as a learned and a cultured person, one who acts as you direct to be accepted as sinful and devious. Those who are wise never praise a person who acts only to please his senses. Such a person is mean, selfish, and greedy. Driven only by lust for pleasure, he immediately happiness soon turned to distress, and he sinks into a hellish condition. Rama appeared angry as he repeated Jawali. His eyes were red and he spoke gravely. If I were to follow the path of an path exposed by you, O ascetic one, then this entire earth would be cast into ruin. All men followed the king's example, avoiding the religious path. The people would become licentious and uncontrolled. Chaos would prevail and everyone would suffer. Jabali sat down before Ram with his palms joined and his head bowed. He said nothing as Ram explained how the attempt to find happiness through sense enjoyment was futile. Both the sense and their enjoyments are soon destroyed. Only the soul and God are eternal. Along with the spiritual realms where the Lord reside, those who are actually learned therefore follow the path of truth which leads to those ever existing realm of bliss. Rama Ram paused and gradually his anger subsided. After some minutes he spoke again. My father was wedded to truth. Following his instruction will lead only to the happiness. I shall therefore remain in this wood and Bharat should rule. the earth. This will be our only assurance of happiness both in the world and the next. Oh, Jabali, you should not speak in this way again, for to mislead the people in very great sin. Ram have spoken to instruct all people. He fell silent. He knew Jabali's heart and did not feel anger towards him, only toward his word. The people pain was Ram's pain, and he knew that Jabali's presentation of Hinduism led only to pain, saying, "It is exactly as you say." Jabali prostrated himself before Ram and returned to his place among the other Brahmins. Vasishtha stood up and spoke in the midst of the assembly. This Jabali knows well of the soul and it's actually happiness. He spoke only out of his desire to see you installed as Ram, as king. This is also my desire, O Raghava, as the empire's eldest son. It behooves you to now accept the throne. You need entertain no doubt in this regard. Vasishtha recounted the history of Ram's line one by one, he named the previous king and explained how each had handed the kingdom to their eldest son. Finally, he said, "O Ram, this is my instruction to you. I am your prosperator, and as such, I am even more worthy of your obedience than your father. Indeed, I was also his uh, preceptor. Therefore, I command you to accept the throne of Ayodhya." The sage had spoken only out of love. He was aware that Ram was enacting a divine plan by remaining in the forest, but still he longed for him to return. Ram looked with affection at Vaishishta and replied, "The depth owed to one's parents cannot be easily repaid. Woodland says they give everything they have to for their children, feeding them, nourishing them, putting them to bed, and rubbing them with oil. The father and mother give their love at every moment. My worthy father, so word should not prove false due to my negligence. For I wish to render him some service to in return for this love." It was obvious that Ram was not going to be convinced by anyone to leave the forest. Bharata suddenly stood up and exclaimed, "Sheeted upon blades of kusa grass spread on the ground, I shall remain here in front of Ram's door without taking food or water. I will not move until Rama agree to accept the throne." Quickly grabbing a bunch of grass from near Ram's hut, Bharata spread it out and sat down. Ram said in surprise, "Oh, Bharata, why do you take such a bow? Your duty is to rule the kingdom, not sit upon the ground like a destitute Brahmin." Bharata turned towards the people and the employer. "Why do you not plead with my brother to return?" A leader of a Brahmin's community stepped forward. "It is clear that Ram will not be swayed from his determination to follow the father's command. What can we do? How, your heart are breaking with the thought of Ram's separation." Ram glanced lovingly at the Brahmins and then said to Bharata, "Get up, O tiger among men, return to Ayodhya, become the king and rule with justice. In 14 years you will see me return." Bharata stood up and replied to Ram, If our father order must be followed, then allow me to stay here in your place. Ram gently admonished Bharata, telling him that it was not possible for one promise to fulfill by another person. Ram had given his word, and it was he who had to keep that word. He promised that when he returned to Ayodhya, he would accept the throne, but he would not, under any condition, return before the 14 years had expired. The many eminent sages who were present had listened intently to the conversation between the two divine brothers. Then they were thrilled and astonished, thinking of deep import of their discussion. A host of even Rishis, along with the gods, stood invisible in the sky. The divine being then spoke so that with Rama and his brother could hear. Hearing this wondrous dialogue between Ram and Bharata, we long to hear it again and again, said one of the gods. O Bharata, please allow Ram to fulfill his promise to his father. By virtue of Ram's birth, Dasaratha had ascended to the highest heaven, freed of his debt to Kaikai. The god we are anxious for Ravana's death, which they saw in imminent. They saw showered celestial flowers on Rama and his brothers, and they then returned to their heavenly abode. Encouraged by hearing the demigods, Bharata was prepared to accept the responsibility of ruling Ayodhya. Falling at Ram's feet, he voiced his final doubts. My lord, how does the power to rule our vast kingdom exist in me? I am young and inexperienced, nor am I possessed any great ability. Surely the kingdom will meet with ruin under my incapable guidance. Ram raised his younger brother and placed him and on his lap, stroking his head. He said, "Your humility is your real qualification. By virtue of this wisdom, you can protect the entire earth. Always seek the counsel of learned Brahmans and rule with confidence, O jewel among men." Bharata then brought up before Ram a pair of ornate wooden sandals embellished with gold. He put them on the ground and said, "Please place your feet in these sandals, dear Ram. Let this shoe be the ruler of the kingdom. I shall remain as their servant." Ram immediately put on the sandal and then took them off again, handing them back to Bharata. Bharata placed the sandal on his head. For the coming 14 years, I shall live in a hut outside Ayodhya, he said, signing, I shall survive on only fruit and roots, and my hair shall be matted. If at the end of this time I do not see any you return, O Ram, then I shall enter blazing fire. So it be, replied Ram, and he embarrassed each of his brothers. He again told Bharata that Kaikeyi should not be commended and that she should be treated with kindness. Ram paid his respect to all the people there according to their position, speaking thought farewell to everyone. Kausalya and the other queens stood in front of Ram's one, unable to saying anything. Their throat choked and um, Their eyes flooded with tears. Ram bowed to each of them in return as the queen defeated Kaikeyi turned and spoke privately to Ram. She censured herself again and again, begging his forgiveness. The queen at Ram's feet, felt at Ram's feet. I am entirely ignorant and have acted like a fool, she said truthfully. But I now understand that you are the eternal supreme person who would not be bewildered upon seeing your human pastime. Oh Lord, please forgive me and destroy my attachment to my family and wealth. Ram smiled at her with affection. It was I who, for the sake of the gods, permitted you to act as you did. He said, you are not to be blamed, nor am I angry with you. Hardly along anyone knows my real nature. I am never affected by desire in the same way as ordinary man. I act simply to reciprocate the service and love I am given. Gentle lady, return to Ayodhya and live peacefully. Think of me day and night, and you will soon be free from all your uh, attachment attachment to this temporary world. Koike felt deeply relieved and gladdened. With folded hands, she circumambulated Rama and again joined the other queens. Bharata Bharata had the golden sandal placed upon the royal elephant and shielded by the white umbrella with the elephant at their head. The citizen of Ayodhya returned the way they had come. As they entered Ayodhya some day later, they saw that it had become dark and desolate. The street were unswept and rubbish was strewn all around. The door and windows of the empty houses swung open. The city had become overrun by cat and wolves, and mice run everywhere. No pouring were being made in the temples, and all the soap and pleasure house were closed. The street were deserted, and the city, which had always been full of life, joy with countless people, was now silent and still. The city, reassembled a vast army which had been defeated in battle. In its armor shattered, its ensigns torn down, and its heroes killed. Bharata made his way to Dasharatha's palace, dejected to see the state of his beloved Ayodhya after entering the palace, which was like a mountain cave adorned by its lion. Bharata went into the assembly hall with Vasishtha and with other counselors. He placed Ram's sandal on the throne, then sat next to them and said, I shall not accept the throne of Ayodhya. This sandal should be consecrated as the king, and I shall be their servant only. Indeed, I shall live in the hermitage outside the city. When Ram return, I shall again place this sandal on his feet, as he alone is the king. The Brahmins applauded Bharata. So it be, they exclaimed. Then duly installed the sandal with the coronation ceremony. Bharata then moved with Shatrugna into a small wooden hut, eating only forest bear and wearing ascetic dress. Each day he would submit the affairs of state before Ram Sandal, Only then would he carry out any necessary action. Any gifts he received, he would also offer to Ram Sandal. In this way, he ruled the kingdom. This is how Bharata gave his loving love to Ram. Jai Jagannath, Jai Sri Krishna.